welcoming all of you to this session. It's a Power Monday session, as usual, and we've done this for 5 years. And this year we are celebrating the 5th year this Friday at Nairobi Club. For people who are within Nairobi and its environs, you must be there. You will love it. And so Power Monday's purpose is basically to provide a platform through which we learn, each one of us, and grow together, connect, and share thoughts. You know, even in business, people have to connect. Like somebody said, Frida Wanga, I remember said, people have to connect before they collect. Enough people want to collect first. So in business, we've got to create a connection. We've got to be people who build relationships. And we know that in modern world, relationship is what builds businesses and careers. Somebody said, it is whom you know in there who will talk about you when you are not there. And how do you do that? Except through building relationships. So welcome all of you, and let's keep growing together. Dr. Lucita, you can give us the poem.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Allow me to add, in addition to what you've said, allow me to add that God's currency is people. It is God, it is people that sign checks. So relation building is very important. Allow me to delve directly into today's poem. I have given it a title, It Shall End in Praise. No matter how hard it is, it always ends in praise. Today we are in Monday number 44 out of 52 of the beautiful Mondays of 2025. It shall end in praise. When storms arise, the clouds stay, lift up your eyes. There comes a day that it shall end in praise. You see, though your heart may ache and hopes may win, God will not break. A soul in pain, it shall end in praise. It shall end in praise. When storms arise and a dark cloud stay, lift up your eyes, there comes a day, it shall end in praise. Though your heart may ache and hope may wane, God will not break. A soul in pain, remember, it shall end in praise. When tears fall so slow and the nights are longer, the Lord will surely show. Your heart will have a song, and it shall end in praise. You see, the seeds that you sow, though the wet with the cries, the time it will grow, and the skies will be brighter, and it shall end in praise. The pain that you seem to bear will turn to grace, for the Lord is there in every praise, and it shall end in praise. So run your race, though all the days, trust in your ways. Lift up your eyes and know that it shall end in praise. Thank you.
Ah, beautiful. It shall end in praise. We hope to start the very same way on Friday. Yes, after
Yes.
national anthem and international anthem, that is East African anthem. Thereafter, we may want to go to our poem. So you better be there. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. If you are yet to subscribe to the dinner, you are missing out, and you're definitely going to miss out. We have great guests that are coming in. Great interaction, great connection, and of course, the Ambolale will be supplying some items for people who come early, some refreshment. So those who come early, you will be in for a treat. Yes, but we expect to start by 6. 5:30 to 6 is when the treat will be taking place. So I'd like to invite Mercy of Dreamcrest to introduce for us our speaker for today. Mercy.
Good morning, Power Monday.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. It's such a bright morning, and I'm privileged to be introducing the speaker of the day. Our speaker of the day is none other than Dr. Carol Chakua, who is a counseling psychologist, an educator, and the founder of Stawi Camp for Wellbeing, a Kenyan initiative that supports families, schools, and workplaces to build emotional resilience, connection, and mental well-being. Wow. Through Stawi parenting programs, Carol supports children's camps and well-being trainings. Dr. Carol helps families strengthen communication, nurture self-awareness, and create calmer and more connected homes. And in this particular session, she's going dubbed the pose that changes everything, parenting from the heart. She invites parents to rediscover the power of self-awareness, learning to pause before reacting, and to respond from intention rather than impulse. I feel targeted. Dr. Carol Chakua, consultant psychologist and founder of Stawi Camp for Wellbeing, is our speaker today. And let's put our hands together virtually for Daktari. Daktari, feel welcomed, and we are expectant. We are looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You feel targeted. You should feel targeted. Every time I encounter this content, even as I'm preparing, I feel targeted myself. So I guess that's it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning. I am so delighted to be here. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you, Paul, Peter, for inviting me. I can't believe you've been doing this for 5 years. That's just amazing. I think there's just something about consistency that really makes a difference. And that's something that I should borrow from you, consistency. And I'm sure many of us here, that's an amazing initiative that you have to create a space for people to start off, to kickstart their week the way they are starting. So it's good to see everyone here. I'm seeing familiar names and I'm seeing unfamiliar names, and I'm looking forward to an interactive session. This session is not a lecture. It's a very reflective space, and I invite you to journey with me as you reflect from a very non-judgmental and compassionate space. So if you're feeling targeted, just remember that that we are all in this journey together, and as a family that we are connecting together, we have done those things. We have yelled, we have shouted, we have given 2-hour lectures to our children without stopping. We have said things that we didn't mean to say. And the beauty of it is that there's always opportunity to learn. There's always opportunity to repair. And I think one of the things we don't realize is that our interactions with our children are usually, there are more positive interactions than the negative ones. Unfortunately, it's the negative ones that stick with us because we are wired to focus on what is not working. Because if we did not have that capability as human beings, none of us would be here. We would be extinct. We are wired to seek out what is not working. We are wired to look at what is negative so that we can prepare ourselves and protect ourselves from danger. If we didn't have that capability, none of us would be here. So that's why sometimes we find ourselves beating ourselves up, feeling guilty, wishing we had done things differently. And one of the things I do with parents is just invite them to step back and first of all, focus on what they are doing right. Because it's a lot. It's always way more than what we are not doing right. So I hope as we go through this session today that we will actually be able to remember those moments, to pick those moments, even as we are exploring our own triggers. And of course, I know that we will have time to interact a little bit more after this session and also beyond this. So thank you again for bringing me, for inviting me and for being here. And so let me start. Let me begin with let me start sharing. Being a reflective session, I will be inviting us, if you have a pen and a notebook, please write something down. Nowadays, we have e-notebooks, we have our phones, whatever it is that helps you. And for those of you who are unable to write because maybe you are on your way to work, I'm sure you'll also be able to access the recording, but there is still moments where we can still engage in our own silent ways in the midst of everything that we are doing. So I want us to take a moment and just take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, because that is, if I was to just stay with this slide for the next 40 minutes, it would be enough for us to learn about that pause that I'm talking about, because that's all we need. That's really all we need, to be able to pause, breathe in and out. So I'm just going to ask us to do that. And just pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to what you can see. Maybe you can notice 3 things and say, I can see this, I can see this, I can see this. As you breathe in and out, allow the beautiful oxygen and nourishing breath to get deep into your lungs and out. Sometimes it helps to breathe out through your mouth and breathe in through your nose, just to experience the difference. So like I said, this could just be the only thing I'll talk about. In the middle of an intense moment with your child, breathing works wonders. Because at a physiological level, when you have an intense moment with your child, what your brain sees is danger. Your brain sees a tiger or a lion. You go into fight or flight mode. We don't know that, but that's what happens to many of us may not know that. And so it's really about your brain saying, this is danger, and this is I cannot manage this, and I have to go into either fight. And most of the time we go into fight mode at that moment, and we are unable to think through what we are saying. We are unable to think beyond the noise and the triggers the things that have been triggered in us, and therefore just breathing in and out, just taking a deep breath in and out makes a very big difference. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is what it helps us be able to manage better those intense moments. But when we really want to connect and have a relationship with our children, there's so much cultivation and nurturing and changing of the environment that needs to happen. I have the 80-20. We have 80-20 rules for many things, and I have the 80-20 rule when it comes to parenting, and especially dealing with intense moments. I usually say 80% is when you invest. 80% is when you connect with your child, is when you train, is when you talk about consequences during the calm times. 20% is during the intense times. And in fact, the more I work with parents, the more I realize that probably it's even less. Sometimes I feel like changing it to 90-10 or 95-5, so that we only realize that the intense moment happen at very, very few times. And therefore, if we committed to consistently invest during the calm times, then during the intense times, it really doesn't matter what you do, whether you let things slide, whether you don't say anything, it doesn't really matter what you do then, because you already know what you're doing during your 85% time. But what gets us there is really that pause, that learning to pause and the self-awareness. So I want to say, I mean, I've been in this space for many years. As a parent, I have a 16-year-old and we are still navigating. Now this is the teenage stage we are navigating. And beyond that, I have many nieces and nephews by blood and by the fact that I'm an African auntie that I've really just raised. And then, of course, outside of that, I have many clients that I have worked with. And what the parents tell me, which is also a lot of what I have experienced in my journey as a parent, these are some of the things, and I'm sure they resonate. I would like you to just, if any of these resonate, you can either type it or you can say yes, or you can say none of the above or all of the above. How do I balance love and discipline? How can I be firm and kind? How can I be a present parent? You know, nowadays we like to use those words. Your child doesn't want your presence. They want your presence. You know, what does that even mean? You know, sometimes a lot of these things can just sound like cliches. How can I be a voice and influence, especially in this day and age when our children have too many other competing voices? You know, during our times, really, it was just at the playground. Those were the competing voices. But we had teachers, our influencers, all used to speak the same language. So it was so much easier then. But now we are competing with voices at the click of a button. So how can I still remain the voice of influence? Of course, because we are so much getting into the space of allowing people to, both boys and girls, to share their feelings. Sometimes you're wondering, this boy needs to toughen up. Is he becoming a softie? How do I toughen him up? You know, so all these are just questions that we have, and they keep going. And I know they resonate. I don't know if it's all of the above, none of the above. I would have loved to check the chat, but I'm also checking the time. So let me just keep going.
Yeah, people are saying all of them yes, all of them yes.
Okay, all of them. That's okay, thank you. So there's more here. Am I too hard on my children? Am I too easy on them? The same parent, the same kid. At one point you are like, no, I think I'm being too hard on this child. The same child, the same parent, you'll be like, am I too easy on these children? There is so much confusion when it comes to raising children now. Am I doing the right thing? Am I making the right decision? When I'm transferring them from this school to another, when I'm deciding to move from this geographical location to another, when I'm deciding, you know, whatever transition you're going through in your family, and depending on the dynamics you are in, should I take up this job? Should I leave? Should I homeschool my children? Maybe this child needs this kind of environment. You know, so there's always that. Am I doing the right thing? Am I ruining my children with everything that I'm giving them or not giving them? With the squabbles that we are having, even as a couple or as partners, are we ruining these children? What are we doing? Are we really on track? Will my child turn out right as a result of this? Will my child be okay without me? That's a really, really big one. We start thinking, and especially as we see them, we're seeing maybe there's areas of independence that we need to build. So again, these are just questions that I just wanted to throw out there and share with you, because this is not unique to you who is resonating with it. It's unique to every single parent. There is no parent who has never asked themselves at least 50% of these questions. Okay. And that then shouldn't be a reflection of you being a bad parent or an inadequate parent or a failure in your parenting. We need to normalize these conversations. And that's one of the things we do at Stawi, just normalizing conversations around parenting and around mental health so that we can create a sense of community and we can move together in trying more to support one another than to bash one another or to find areas of pointing out fingers of judgment. This is another one that is very common. We want our children to grow up to be assertive, to be independent, and to be strong-willed. Everybody, if I asked this, everybody will say 100%. All the 87 of us would say, yes, this is what I want. However, where do you think they will practice that if it's not in our space? So the other perplexity is, when you are in my space, I want you to be passive, pliable, and obedient. We want to make sure, fit them within that box. And yet we want them to be able to go out there to be assertive, independent, and strong-willed. So this is a real dilemma for many of us as parents. So how do we show up then? So because of all these dilemmas, we go out there and Google. You know, nowadays, when you Google, you don't get this kind of results. First of all, you get the AI that tells you all this. So during the days of Google, we used to Google and we get a certain amount of results. And the last search I did gave me 763 million results on effective parenting. And that happened in less than 1 second. Okay. And here's a sample of some of the things that we have come across. And I am sure, again, I'm just going to put them all here and you realize that it's possible that there isn't anything here that you haven't tried. Okay, this is just a sample of the 700 million results. You've been told never to spank your children by psychologists and child rights advocates. But on the other hand, someone tells you if you spare the rod, you will spoil the child. You're told spend quality time with your children. Make sure you take advantage of the window of opportunity. Do not negotiate or dialogue with your children. Someone else tells you negotiate and dialogue with your children. Children of nowadays, we have to talk. There's all these phrases like gentle parenting, conscious parenting, positive parenting, all this, Christian parenting, whatever it is that we want to put. We have all these labels. Be the role model. Drop them to school. You know, if you drop them to school, you're able to speak strength and courage into them. And another one says, no, the best time is to pick them up from school. So that now when you get them, they will unpack everything that has gone on. It can be very, very confusing. Have a daily devotion. Do dinner as a family, because research says that families, teenagers who have dinner with their parents, they are less likely to take negative risks. And then you just realize how much you're struggling to even just get your child on the dinner table. And because that's not happening, we get into a place of, I am failing, I need to do better. And that's the negative narrative that we are always having. And that's why for me, learning how to pause is very important, because it helps us go back and draw from the wisdom that we already have, the wisdom that we have been given by God, because this one was given as these children. There is an innate wisdom that we have that is muzzled by so many things, by 700 million results, by what other parents are doing, by social media and people posting on Instagram and Facebook about how they are winging it with parenting, how they are doing it really well, and you know, all that. And you know, that's just a snapshot of what is really going on. And so my invitation for us this morning is to just step back and breathe in and out and release. Because when we breathe in and out, it calms the brain, it calms the nervous system, it reminds us that we are not in danger, and it reminds us that we are enough. So that during those intense moments, the 15%, 20% of the time, we are able to calm down and draw from what we have already been doing during the 80% of the time. And our parenting programs really have a lot to do with what do you do during the 80%? Not so much, when my child does this, what do I do? Because you're asking for a fix in that moment. And that's not what we look at, the long-term plan when it comes to parenting. And part of it is to remember that you are enough and to breathe in and out. So even with those 700 million results, we still find ourselves asking those questions. You have tried everything, but you still go back to this. You still go back to this second guessing, guilt tripping moments, okay? And so where is the real issue then? Why are we finding ourselves in the same cycles? Maybe we need another 700 million results. I don't know. Especially in the age of AI, there's even, I mean, it can be very much tailored to your situation. But I am telling you, even with those beautiful, well-tailored suggestions and solutions, we still find ourselves in the same cycles. Maybe it's because of children of nowadays. I mean, let me tell you, we can have a whole list of blame and saying this is where the issue is. Children of nowadays, parents have just left their children to be with house nannies. Parents are focusing more on making money. Parents are doing, I mean, there's so much blaming on parents. It's exhausting. And all that causes us to even be less and less present with ourselves and with our children, because the voices in our heads just keep telling us, you're failing, you're not good enough. But what I've realized is the issue is not in the techniques. The issue is not in the strategies. The issue is very simple. It's in the dynamics of our relationships with our children. If you have to hold everything else constant and just focus on your relationship, on the dynamics of your relationships in a way that is intentional, you will begin to just see how much these other things begin to become easier and easier. And what I have found out and what research is telling us is that think about whatever dilemma you're having right now with your child. It boils down to one thing: relationship. You know, and when I say that, it's that simple, but it's also that complicated, because relationships is where we struggle. Okay, so when you ask parents, what do you want for your children? They're like, I want my child to be happy. We just genuinely want to see a happy child. I want my child to develop in their leadership skills. I want them to have meaningful relationships, not fighting with their friends every day. There's also always a case to solve and all that. Just how can my child just develop resilience? How can they live a purposeful life? How do I help them to develop socio-emotionally, their empathy skills, their kindness skills, their ability to manage emotions? How can I succeed in that? What research tells us, it really up to whether at least one person shows up for them. I love this part, because it reminds you that you can do it, you as an individual. If the people around you that you're parenting with are not yet on board with you, you can still show up as that one, and there is one stable adult, or to be that at least one person in your children's lives. The shifts that you want will happen. But no, we are in a hurry, we want to fix, we want to see behavior change immediately, and so we are unable to pause, reflect, and become that one stable person in little ways. It's in the little things that are consistent that we will get the results. And what does showing up mean? In very simple terms, it's just being committed to develop a healthy relationship with a child. It's that simple, but that complicated, because we struggle in our relationship spaces, not just with our children. We struggle with our relationships with ourselves. We struggle with our relationships with our colleagues, with our siblings, with our parents, with the people in other spaces. So when we take our parents through our programs, they begin to realize just how much that these concepts are helping them in other spaces as well. Because it really is not, it cannot just be about your kids. When you do one thing well in one space, you will do it the same way in other spaces. Okay, so it really boils down to relationship. So a parent who shows up, for us, the way we see it at Stawi is a parent who is self-aware, a parent who is introspective, and a parent who is reflective. 3 things that we have never, ever been trained to do. We just find ourselves doing life, and then we are like, oh, okay, what kind of skills do we need? These are things we want our children to have, but if we haven't nurtured them in us, if we haven't cultivated them in us, we're really not going to be effective. The strongest predictor of a child's well-being is a parent's self-understanding. You desire your child to thrive? Focus on your self-understanding. Focus on your self-awareness. We want to raise resilient children. It starts with us. It starts with our focus on ourselves. Unless you are fulfilled, this is Dr. Shefali in her book called The Conscious Parent. She says, unless you are fulfilled, you will use your children to complete you. So if you're feeling targeted, just take a deep breath in and out and release. It's not intentional, but it really is intentional, to be honest, so that you feel something and you figure out, what do I need to do? So if you're not fulfilled, you'll use your children to complete you. You will teach them how to live with your unacknowledged fears, your rejected emptiness, and your forgotten lies, all the while unaware you are doing so. So I have a book that unpacks these 3 areas, a whole 12-chapter book that just helps you go inward and unpack these unacknowledged fears, rejected emptiness, and forgotten lies, just inviting you into a journey of awareness, because the tragedy of this statement is the last part, all the while unaware you're doing so. So I've been on this journey of self-awareness for many years, and I'm aware when my fears are showing up. I'm aware when my rejected emptiness is showing up when I'm parenting. I'm aware when my forgotten lies, which are just things that have happened to you in the past. I'm aware, I'm able to pick. So that doesn't mean that because I've gone through this journey, I don't experience these things. But you're better off being aware that this is what is showing up. And that's what the journey I'm inviting us this morning. Not for a journey of perfection, but a journey of self-awareness. A journey of saying, the way I'm yelling, this is not about this child. So I just want to invite us to breathe in and out. I have a couple of questions. Today is just a self-reflective session to help us to begin that journey, okay? I want you to think about a persistent area of conflict. Pick one child. You probably had an issue with them this morning. I don't know how Monday morning went today. If there was something that happened, or maybe today was a good Monday morning, but just think about one of your children. I usually say the one who brought you here, the one that when you saw this poster, you're like, I need to come and see how to handle this issue calmly, that one. So just think of it. What is that persistent area of conflict? The thing is, we never have opportunity to really unpack our interactions with our children later on. We are just on the go. We face an issue and we react to the issue, or we manage the issue, and sometimes we respond. We do the right thing. But do we ever step back to find out what could have been going on with me during that moment? So this session is about inviting you to look inward and not just say, this is a lazy child. This is a child who I have to wake up. I have to to do things for them in the morning so that I can get them out of the house. Or this is a child who is always, who has lied to me enough times. Rather than just being general, pick one event that happened, most recent, or the one that stays the most in your mind for you. What really happened? I can say mine is cleaning up after himself, especially in the room. And so what really happened is I woke up or I got from wherever I was going, and when I opened his room, the first thing I meet is clothes strewn all over the floor. There's even no place that I can walk through. Okay, so that could be an example of a persistent area of conflict that you are narrowing down to specific events. In psychology, we want to be able to unpack the specificity of the event so that we don't generalize. But the most important thing in this one is not so much what you did to make the situation better, but I want us today to invite us to look at how you reacted. Now, specifically, we're looking at, for the purpose of learning this lesson, there are many times you have handled things well, so let's not go there. Let's go to where you have, you know that you should have done better, where you reacted instead of responding. So where you are reactive but not responsive. So I guess you can tell the difference, but being reactive is where maybe you see it as a thing of danger and you're either, it could be aggressive, it could be all those things. But in responsive, there are many times you've handled situations with your children well, and we need to celebrate them. But today, we want to use those intense moments where you probably regretted the things that you did or said or how you handled the situation. We want to help you to begin to ask, what really happened with you? Our children's misbehaviors, it is wrong spelling, are not the real reason for our reactivity. When we react, it's not because of what they did. Yes, you can swear, they made me so angry, and that's why I did this, but no. Let me tell you, as you walk in this journey of self-awareness, they will do the same thing that they did 3 months ago, but you will respond and not react. Because you're giving yourself, you have expanded your awareness, and you're able to see this situation from a bigger perspective. Our reaction is just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm sure you've come across this concept of the iceberg. 10% is how you reacted. 90% is why you reacted. So for the next few minutes, I just want us to take us through, why do we react? Because when we get that, then we begin that journey of self-awareness in a way that will be good, in a way that will benefit the dynamics of our relationships. Remember, I said that we want to raise resilient children. We need to focus on our self-awareness, because when we do that, it really changes the pH or the environment that we are creating for our children so that they can thrive. So in our sessions, we have adopted the iceberg concept and we call it the heartbug. Okay, it's just a way to begin to see that it really is what is in your heart. It is the state of your heart that really, really determines how we react, whether we react or whether we respond. So we call it the Heartbug Tool, which basically it's just about pausing, reflecting on what's going on, and then learning how to respond differently. If it happens during the intense moment, kudos. But it might not happen during the intense moment, but it's inviting you to go back and just ask, what was going on with you during the 80% of the time, to go back and check what you're going through. And the beauty of this tool is that when you use it on yourself, it becomes very easy to have conversations with our children, even how they are reacting to situations, because they take ownership. They realize, oh, okay, this was what was going on. So again, inviting us to think, what was your reaction? And some of the reactions for parents, I'm just going to name them. But anyway, it would be nice also for you to put them in there. Okay, just put them in the chat. I may not be able to see it. I may not be able to read because I'm also looking at the time. But the question is, what are some of the ways we react? I'll give examples as you give. And of course, or let's give examples of other parents out there. As we are, okay, you know, what do you think other parents out there do? You know, other parents out there who are not here, they yell, they give undeserved consequences. They give consequences that stretch on for weeks and weeks and weeks because they want to feel better they want to feel like they have done something. They give 2-hour lectures, especially moms. Hello, moms. We are so good with those lectures. We go on, and we give different versions, King James Version, the Passion Translation, all the Message version. We give all different versions of the same things, and we are wondering why our children are switching off from us. Okay, so any of that resonate with you, you can put in the chat, or for other parents who are doing out there, let's talk about those other parents so that we can go and teach them, okay? But really, the reality is I'm inviting us to really have a space of self-awareness and not abdicate this journey to other people, okay? So then the question then becomes, what is beneath the 10%? Beneath the 10% are our feelings and our sensations, okay? Let's talk about feelings. Feelings are those, people use interchangeably, feelings and emotions, and we won't get into the difference right now, but the reality is that we know the feelings. We know anger, we know hopelessness, we know helplessness, we know shame. So whatever it is, remember I asked you to think about a situation, so I hope you're tracking with me with that situation. Whatever it is your child did, what feelings rose out of you? Was it embarrassment? Was it anger? Was it shame? Was it despair? Was it anxiety? But alongside those feelings are also sensations. Those ones come, what we feel physically in our body. And what we don't realize is the importance of how our emotions show up in our bodies. They show up in our bodies even before we can name them as anger. We feel it somewhere. You know, where I come from, we say we feel anger in the stomach. You say, I just felt hua in my stomach. Okay, so I'm sure, again, as Africans, we have different ways of describing how we feel these things. We feel, I'm inviting us. Part of taking that pause is saying, what am I feeling in my body right now? Because that is the message to the brain that there is danger. And the moment the brain has gotten that message, definitely your reaction will not be different from how your body and how your feelings have been activated. So again, to just ask, where do our feelings and our sensations come from? They come from our thoughts. Thoughts are the stories and the interpretations we are making of this situation. We interpret it a certain way. I am running out of time. I am failing as a parent. This will never change. I am not good enough. It is because we are going through a separation. It is because because I'm raising this child as a single mother. It is because of all the fights that we have had. It is because I am not able to provide for this child. What are the stories you're making? He's doing it to just make me angry. She's just being mean and spiteful. What stories are we creating about this situation? That will determine how your body, the message that is sent to your brain and say, this is danger. So we need to fix this danger. And then you feel angry and then you react. And I just want to note that anger is a secondary emotion. If you have written anger, just know that there is a lot of other emotions underlying the anger. And most of them are the ones that are sort of considered weak and vulnerable. And therefore, we need to be able to go deeper beneath the anger and ask, is it shame? Is it embarrassment? Is it helplessness? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Those are the children, the roots of the anger. Okay, then where do our thoughts come from? They will come from our core beliefs. Our core beliefs are really the templates that we already have. It's our operating system, the operating system that runs who you are as a person. Okay, so a lot of people here are in IT, so you get it. And we don't even need to be in IT to get that. If I have a Samsung, then the operating system is Android, operating system is Windows, operating system is Apple, or iOS, So you don't need to even understand the technicalities. You just need to ask yourself, what are your core beliefs in general? What are your core beliefs about children? What are your core beliefs about work? or work ethic? What are your core beliefs about discipline? What are your core beliefs about respect? What has been triggered? If you believe children should not be seen, but it should be seen but not heard, when your child speaks back to you, for you what you see is disrespect, and it triggers anger, and you feel it in your body, and you must do something to let off the energy. And that's why you either chapa or you say many things, because you're crowded. You're crowded by your core beliefs. Where do our core beliefs come from? They come from our issues in the present and issues in the past. So we can spend again a whole other several weeks just unpacking these things. So I just wanted to invite us to see, where do our triggers come from? And I hope that you have been able to just at least identify, even if it was just at thought level, because most of the time we stop at thought level. It takes a lot of time to begin to think of our core beliefs. But the reality is, some of the things that I would like you to ask yourself is, how do you handle challenging situations? Go back to your Heartbug. Are you reactive or are you responsive? Are you able to recognize and name your emotions? Part of learning to pause is saying, this is anger, this is frustration. And if you name them, are you comfortable with them? Are you comfortable with fear, anxiety, sadness, shame, guilt? Are you able to sit with these strong emotions? Or do you numb them with work, with business, with talking a lot, with substance abuse, with social media? What do you really believe about yourself? What's the first thought that comes to mind when you wake up in the morning? Is it like, here we go again, it's a Monday? How do you speak to yourself when you fail, especially? And whose voice do you hear when you perceive you have failed? So again, I'm flooding you with a lot of questions, because I want to invite us, just pick one of these and just go down with it and ask yourself, where is it coming from? Because when we want to fix our children's behaviors, we try to just deal with what we are seeing. That's what we want. We want, even when I have parents come, it's because of this behavior and I want it to go away. But most of our intense moments, we need to understand that they are baggage driven. They come from what is in our hearts. As parents, we carry in our hearts unresolved issues from our past and present experiences. And therefore, when our children misbehave, really, the first thing is to ask ourselves, what is being triggered? Let's be reminded of the things we need to work on when we are having those intense moments. Because if we don't focus on what's going on in our hearts, our children's and interactions just become repeated cycles, repeated. You find yourself 700 million results later, you still find yourself. And all those tools and all those strategies then become ineffective. So again, remember, showing up really is about going back inside your heart and asking, what is really going on, so that you are not using your children to complete you. It's to invite you, like Carl Jung says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So as I wind down, just in case you need more support, you can join our community. The book I was talking about is a self-awareness toolkit that really helps you go deeper. You can reach out to us. We have a camp that's coming up for those whose children are in the Kenyan system. It's in November 26th to 29th for the younger kids, and 3rd to 6th deck for the older kids. And we can talk a little bit more about that. So we have a lot of resources at Stawi Camp for Wellbeing. We have online courses on how to raise a self-motivated child, conscious discipline. If you wish to have a clarity call with myself, you can also scan this QR code, fill out the form. I'll just leave this for another 30 seconds if you want to either scan the QR code or take a screenshot of this, and then I will hand it back to Mr. Peter, reminding us that our children's misbehaviors are not the real reason why we react. Our reaction is just the tip of the iceberg. So I love to ask people what they have learned by continuing this. And with what I now know is, and asanteni sana, have a wonderful day ahead and a great week.
Thank you, thank you. You will also put your contact in the chat for people who will want to reach out. Now, just a few questions because time is gone. One is, are some of those areas of conflict generally driven, genetically driven? That is from Jackie. Are some of those conflict areas genetically driven? Because I see my son has picked quite a bit of me, yet those things really annoy me.
And that can be such a trigger, Jackie. It can be such a trigger because you're just like, me, I want to fix these things now. I don't want them to struggle the way I have struggled in life, you know? So that's a really good question, Jackie. And again, in behavioral science, we really struggle with that. Is it nurture or nature? And we'll say it really is a combination of both nurture and nature. But the hope that we have is that we can actually provide a nurturing environment to train our children out of those things. So if we are consistent, then nurture will trump nature. They'll still probably struggle a little bit more than someone who has not benefited, but let's have hope in the fact, we always say, call it the plasticity of the brain, the neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity helps us realize that as long as we are able to provide the right environment, then we can nurture our children in ways that are specific and intentional. But that's a really good question. So
I love the hope part.
yes,
Nature
yes,
gives us the hope.
yes.
I have a question on how about a child who is naturally bright, at least in your estimation, but doesn't seem to be putting enough effort in school, and you see that the grades are going down, down, down.
Yeah,
You feel like
yeah,
it's an attitude issue.
yeah.
Uh, is that does pause help there?
You know, pause helps everywhere. And let me tell you how pause helps in that place,
Yeah.
Paul. It helps in the sense that you begin to ask, what's going on with this child? What could be going on with him? Because, and I have a session, a 6-hour session on nurturing self-motivation in children. It helps us see that beneath the lack of motivation, there are big feelings. Again, the heartbug of the child comes in. There are big feelings, there are big emotions, there are belief systems, there are past experiences that they have had that have made them believe certain things about that space. So again, the pause helps us to begin to uncover what could be going on with a child so that we begin to change at that level. Because I think sometimes we just chalk it down to attitude and say, that's just attitude. Well, even attitude, there's a lot going on with what causes that attitude. All right. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, Flora K said, recently a 16-year-old went missing, kept communicating with her peers, but not her parents of her whereabouts, but later showed up. How do you think most of us would react if we were her?
You know, let's type in the chat and answer that. How would we react? Yeah.
Mm,
Again, there
yeah.
is a lot going on with that child. All right.
Okay.
I think if we were able to just step back and ask ourselves what could be going on, we realize that human beings, we want connection. We desire connection. And sometimes that lack of connection causes us to react and to show up in certain ways that could look like misbehavior. It's just that we take it personally as parents. I think if I could just leave you with that one, please don't take everything personal. It's not about you. There's a lot more going on.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, so there are lots of reaction. Thank you, Coach Caro. That is from Lillian, from Susie. I came late, but I benefited a lot. Can the recording be shared? Yes, we always have the recording. We have a YouTube where we share the recording, and also you can share with your other people whom you thought should be here. if parents, if children are here, they would say, I want my parents to listen to this.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You know, that
because
happens even in the camps when we are working with
yeah,
the kids. They're like, my parent is the one who should be here, not me.
yes. So we have a YouTube link which you can subscribe to. I had shared it up there. Let me share it again. I've put it in the chat. My nephew is intelligent, but he has an attitude not participating in class. I think that is related to what we just did. So because of time, we'll go to a vote of thanks. I'm not so sure. Antonia, who was to give a vote of thanks? But you
Or
can
it's
go
okay.
ahead. You
Okay.
can go ahead. Yes. And then you do announcement if possible.
Sorry, today my laptop misbehaved and I had to join in with a different gadget. That's why my background is different, but from the one that will be seen. Good morning, Power Monday. I'm so grateful to have been in this meeting today. Like Mercy said at the beginning, I also felt very much targeted, and I thank God the target was real. And I had a question which I didn't manage to ask at the session. Maybe after the meeting is done, Dr. Carol, you can respond to it. I just wanted to know, because I understand we don't measure the maturity of our children by their age and how we are supposed to behave when they are at a certain age, but yet you can see there is still much to be covered at that particular time. Yeah. Thank you so much, Power Monday team, for creating time to join our session today. We are so grateful that you managed to join. I saw at some point we were 99. That shows how much this is of great concern to us because things are not good out here. And as you were talking about what has happened to, it doesn't have to, what our reaction is not from the misbehavior of the children. It was really resonating because that sometimes you can go extreme and then when you come back you just feel like this one I went overboard. So I want to thank you, Dr. Caro, for creating time just to speak to us. That has been very, very insightful. And I can tell you, we will come to your inbox and just try to get more of what we need to unpack because I trust there is a lot to learn. And for that 1 hour, I trust it, even less than an hour, it wasn't enough. And just thank you for creating time and talk to us. I just like your calm spirit as you talk. The way you talk to us like a 3-year-old, it is so such it is so friendly and just you can just keep on listening and listening to you. So thank you so much for creating time to talk to us. My key takeaway in this session was the self-awareness, the retrospective and also the reflective part as a parent who is showing up and who is self-aware. So that one really spoke to me so much, just knowing that I have to be self-aware even before I can teach my child or just take them through every stage of life. And also let me thank Power Monday family and especially the team that brings this together. Thank you so much, team, for every time making sure that we have these sessions. The Power Monday board led by our chairman, Paul Peter, Dr. Melvin, our board advisor, Lady Noel, who is our moderator for Power Monday, and our secretary, our general secretary, who is Odhiambo Lale. We are so much grateful for making sure that we have these sessions every other Monday apart from the public holidays. And also our lady of the house who works behind everything, Edna Onyach. She makes sure that we have these sessions in such excellent way. So thank you so much, and for Live Your Dream and ICT Gurus for making sure that we have data to host this Power Monday. We are so grateful and we are so delighted that we were able to do this even today. And also some of our sponsors, I can see Dream and Have, and many others who have been part of Power Monday and have done a lot of sponsorship to ensure that this has happened. Thank you so much. Feel much appreciated for everything that you do to ensure that Power Monday goes on every other day. On to our announcements. The week is finally here and our dinner is in a few days to come. And we are only counting hours to Power Monday dinner, which will be happening this Friday at the Nairobi Club. And you are all welcome. I don't know how many of us are here and have not yet registered for Power Monday dinner. Our chairman has extended some grace period. Up to what date, Chairman? Kindly remind us.
Today.
Oh, okay.
Remember, we need to close that with a venue.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. At least your name should be there, even if you are thinking about something else, so that we are able to give concrete numbers.
Okay. The reason I try. Thank you. The reason